Hey guys, we're back. Have some more matches coming up for you tonight. We got two more best of twos. First one's going to be Tongfu versus Zenith. We'll talk about that in just a bit. And the game after that, which is going to be ridiculously epic, the TI2 rematch, Navi versus IG.
Yeah, my hair is like super disheveled.
I don't know why. It's like you're freaking out, stressed. I don't know. My heart's going crazy. We just laughed. Everybody here just laughed for like 10 minutes about how ridiculous that series was. Absolute pleasure to cast that. I can't wait to not use my voice.
Is that the word that you want to use?
I need to go somewhere in a dark corner and just rock myself.
Yeah, it's like Hopit said. And Mushi was just like, he was like a little kid with his item. he was like, I'm not going to get a BKB. Yeah. Let's see how far I can get without this.
Which item do I want? Okay, let's get a heart, you know?
Yeah.
He just, man, that was a crazy set. But regardless, we've got Tongfu versus Zenith coming up. We're a little bit behind schedule, so let's hop into the player cards here. This is Team Tongfu, currently doing really well in the Group B. I'm pretty impressed by their play so far. Hao's going to start things off with their hard carry role. Their mid player is Mu, plays a very talented mid, but did some great Dragon Knight, has been playing a lot of Dragon Knight recently. King J,
that Windrunner,
awesome off lane. Yeah, his Windrunner saved the games completely versus Navi earlier in the night. And Banana up, awesome 4-roll. Man, so many of their players on their team have really blown me away.
They just have playmaking ability on their team. And last but not least, rounding out Tongfu, we have San Sheng. And
also very good.
Yeah,
they're all great.
Yeah,
honestly.
They're all really good players. I don't actually know how Tongfu loses games. So looking at their hexagon, really just a well-rounded team, not standing out with 10s in any category, but still, this is a really well-rounded team. You never look at them and say they're outmatched in any one position.
Yep, and let's take a look at their contenders here. This is Team Zenith. Not doing so hot currently. I believe they're sitting in 1 and 3, if I remember correctly. Yamata,
2 and 4.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Yamata, super insane farmer, got the really fast Battle Fury and Treads, and managed to not throw the game the other day as Alchemist.
Yes.
XY, the solo mid, played some awesome Tinker previous day. Third role is Ice Ice Ice. Very, very good offlane player. Grabbed that solo kill versus the Lifestealer. That impressed me the other day when he played. That was pretty sick. And their 4 role, X Freedom, playing awesome jungling. And their last player is going to be Ice.
Just the single Ice. Bringing up the hexagons.
Give me the hexagon.
We've got a 10 in experience, a 10 in player skill, and we've got lacking in execution and team fight. And this is a team that just like screams top to bottom. They've got so much player skill, but sometimes they have a little bit trouble putting it all together. And the drafting too sometimes felt a little weak. I mean, picking up a Nature's Prophet long lane against a Wisp combo just kind of feels like you're asking for that Nature's Prophet to die every time Wisp's ult is off CD. But still, Zenith, they're a really good team, and they absolutely need this win too.
Yeah, they're not doing so hot. 2 and 4. I believe Tongfu has a better win ratio at the moment. 3 and 3 for them, so pretty good. I think Tongfu is by far more strong, I would say.
That was a weird way to put that.
by far more greatly larger strong.
And I also believe this. We would make great politicians, but
boy would I. Just what do you say? I think 2-0 Tongfu.
Okay, we don't make 1-1s here. We don't make 1-1s
really
here, so
really confident with my 2-0.
If I had to pick, I'd say 2-0 for Tongfu as well. They've just impressed me more in general. Their play just seems a lot more well-rounded, and they gave IG that fantastic game where King J, I mean, that was about as beautiful of a windrunner as I've seen, like ever. Those shackle shots really saved the game for Tongfu, and then that fight at Roche Pit where I thought they were going to lose like twice, and just
that
disgusting.
Was We've spent so many good games today. Thanks everyone for tuning in, by the way. Yeah, so that's your predictions. I say 2-0, you say 2-0. Tongfu, I think, is the better team. They're currently slightly better in their average ratings. Hopefully they can take this 2-0. That would put them very, very high ranked in the group, and that's overall going to see them better into the brackets, which come up in, I believe, later this weekend. We have about 2 days off, I think, for Thursday, Friday. They're going to be covering
we resume
the D2L,
on Friday?
I believe resuming on Friday where the actual playoffs start. So let's hand this over to the casters. But what are your guys' predictions, LD and Merlini?
Tongfu. 2-0 Tongfu. I mean, it's really... Zenith has looked pretty dubious, I would say, as of late. At times they have these moments of individual brilliance, but their team decision-making, their drafting, their execution, we know they're capable of being a top team, but right now they're just not in great form.
Yeah, I mean, they had some success. Yesterday they ran like a Darkseer and Tree. I think that was their only win. I mean, it was pretty good though. I mean, it seems like spotty overall, though.
There was the game where versus Navi, where XY steals Dendy's bottle, X Freedom his tree, he gets a Quelling Blade, he's tangoing through the trees. I mean, they've definitely had their moments. They're fan favorites. They're an entertaining bunch. They could surprise us. If they're going to beat Tongfu, I feel like it's got to be going back to what they're really good at, which is XY Tinker, Ice 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 Darkseer, get a hard carry for Yamatik, the Gyrocopter, and play a more standard game. If they go clowny, if they go crazy, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, they've experimented a little bit, but I don't think now's not the time.
Now is not the time, but that's when we say that, that's when Zenith says, now is not the time, therefore it is the time. With that being said, guys, the draft's underway. Let's hop into it. Tongfu versus Zenith, game number 1. It's a best of 2. Of course, immediately following this will be the match that many of you are waiting for, IG versus Navi. But Zenith, they'll start this off with a first pick Visage, and I like this quite a bit.
Visage is, I mean, we've seen him like just hit with massive success in this tournament so far. And no Wisp ban. I guess the Eastern teams aren't really scared of other Eastern teams using Wisp.
Yeah, Zenith is a team that I would say is unorthodox enough that they could certainly bust one out. I don't think it's something Tongfu would turn to. I believe they have run it in the past, rarely, but it's not. They're not known for their Wisp play by any means. We'll see what Tongfu go for here, but I feel like that banana jungler is likely to come out first. We saw how good Enchantress can be against Visage. Impetus works on the familiars, can kill them very quickly. You can also just pressure the Visage's lane early. They start with Dragonite here, and if you follow this up with Enchantress, you give yourself a very strong mid-game push. You can put a lot of pressure on the lanes, get some hard carry for the safe lane, and try and delay that Visage level 6, try and get some early map control.
Right, I think there's still a lot of great supports left in the pool. Shadow Demon, Chen and Enchantress like you talked about. There's still Nyx Assassin, Rubik, and I think securing those supports can really dictate the pace of the early game. Oh, looks like they'll go with Weaver.
Wow, going with a carry that offers you quite a bit of mobility now. This makes sense because Zenith started with a Visage, so you get a support who doesn't really have any stuns. Sure, you've had the familiars, but you have to hit level 6 for that. So
right.
In the laning stage, Visage can't really directly shut down a Weaver. He'll need help from other supports to do it. And, well, for Zenith, what do you think we're going to see for the second pick? Do they want to go for something like the XY Tinker here?
I mean, there's always still Life Sealer, too. Life Sealer is decent for Dragonite, not the best since he has such high armor, but it's still nice to be able to just whack away at those strength healers, and you can just rush in with Life Stealer. We haven't seen him too much in this tournament. He's been banned out a couple of times, but definitely falling off the top tiers, similar to Lone Druid, actually. I haven't seen him once in this tournament thus far, at least in Group B.
Yeah, we'll see what they go for. Zenith, Ice Ice Ice's Darkseer has been banned out. That's the big ban for me, that I look at what Tongfu's done so far, and this is a target ban against Ice Ice Ice. Darkseer is generally a strong hero. We'll see teams ban it, but Zenith have had a lot of success when he's on that hero in particular, so they ban it out. They'll remove it from the pool, and Zenith will have to turn for something different, or to something different, I should say, and they're really biding their time here with the second pick. Generally, I mean, they snapped up the Visage right away. It seemed like they knew exactly what they wanted to do, but, well, they'll start eating into the reserve time here.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like a... I would like Shadow Demon. I think it's just really good versus Dragonite. I mean, Dragontail has just been dominating these games. It's such an underrated stun. Super long duration. Very easy to get off with in Dragon form. And, I mean, the duration is just ridiculous. He's like a Beastmaster on steroids.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of additional pushing power early on. And the Dragonite's been winning a lot of games lately. I mean, even when he's losing, he's having huge impact. Dendy in that last game got picked off right before
Spectre.
Right at potentially a crucial moment, but still almost turned the game around. Multiple Dragon Tails in the team fights, and the Frost Dragon, it seems like every game Dragonite is hitting level 16 super early, not going for Midas, not even farming ancient stacks, just being very active and involved in kills. And you get level 16, you make your main carry so much stronger because the enemy carry is being kited, they're being slowed, and Weaver, for example, is just freed up to do whatever he wants.
And he's just like nigh impossible to kill during Black
and you
King
have
Bar.
to focus him. You can't ignore a hero with 100% splash and a spammable long duration stun.
I mean, he just an incredible hero, and he's really good at pushing too. We see a lot of teams put out a lot of early pressure, whether it be through a Nature's Prophet that was just banned or Chen, and that level 6, especially with the recent buff to 6.78 Dragon Knight. I mean, he can just siege down those towers incredibly well.
Yeah, we'll see what Zenith go for after this pick, but they've gone Spectre now, so they shore up their late game. They do have a tri-lane with no real lockdown to speak of, assuming the Visage Spectre will be a part of a tri-lane. We did see a solo safe lane Spectre, but that was specifically against a Prophet, and it was only one game. Prophet's been banned out by Tongfu. They don't want to give Zenith that really global lineup with familiars just flying all over the place, scouting things out, and of course the Prophet teleport, the haunt, the long-range initiation pick-off potential. So they'll ban the Prophet out here. They're banning out Ice heroes. I wonder if they'd even think about a Lone Druid ban, but he is a bit weaker in the off lane with the change to the Bear Bounty. It's now 300 instead of 100. Instead, they'll ban something we saw yesterday, which worked really well for Zenith. The XY Slark absolutely steamrolled Dendy mid, stole his bottle. I mean, made Dendy, who's a fantastic solo mid, look silly. Not many players can say that.
Tongfu has definitely done their research.
Yeah, they've done their research, and Zenith will ban out the 2 junglers. Again, Winter's talked about this a lot. It's what all the teams in Asia are doing right now. When they see Visage, they try and pick a jungler. Tongfu didn't do it in the first 2 picks, so Zenith banned both of them out.
Right, I think it's very smart for them to do this like Visage and Spectre, because if you have Spectre, you are kind of forced to do this defensive triple lane, and teams might actually contest you just because Spectre simply just isn't the best triple lane hero. For example, like Alchemist is really strong, he has a lot of AoE, he has minus armor, he has farming capabilities, and he has a stun, but Spectre doesn't really have too much to offer besides escaping, so that is your like weak point. If you can't secure Spectre's early farm, you very well may easily lose the game. But Visage is one of the strongest tri-lane heroes. He's kind of like the 6.78 Keeper of the Light. If you have him in your triple lane, you almost guarantee to win.
Yeah, speaking of Keeper Light, I mean, if you're up against an aggressive tri-lane, fantastic hero can... And sure, it does give you 2 supports with no real lockdown through the laning stage, but it's such a long-range tri-lane. Visage with Soul Assumption, Keeper of the Light with Illuminate. You could just push the wave with Illuminate, and then it's much easier to take your own stack safely, to go execute pulls, to deward without getting picked off. And you look at Tongfu's lineup, Clockwork, Dragon Knight, Weaver, pretty good lane control for Weaver, but Dragon Knight's not a hero who's going to be ganking you that early on. Mostly just sits mid and pressures the lane. Clockwork, not going to gank until level 6, so they'll go Rubik here, but I felt like if they wanted to go Keep the Light, they certainly could. It is a pretty strong tri-lane in terms of defensive capabilities, not the most killing power early on, though.
Yeah, so it's still interesting to see what they're going to do for their other 2 heroes. I feel like they really need a lot more AoE, just a lot more damage and early mid-game control. Queen of Pain would fit that role like really well, I think. But those kind of really squishy intel heroes are especially vulnerable to Dragon Knight, especially with, I don't think I've seen Lincoln's picked up yet in this tournament. A very good versatile lineup right now.
There was the one game, the Weaver game earlier today.
Oh, right.
But that was about it. And it worked really well, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great item. It's a very good solution versus Dragon Knight's very low cooldown stun, because you don't want to just use BKB versus one spell. But and they don't have any other single target spells.
You know, it's funny. It was actually Hao. Wow, they're going to go Doom here. But it was actually Hao playing the Weaver for Tongfu who did that. So, of course, Dragon Knight Weaver on the same team. So we're not going to see Weaver doing that this game, at least not to counter Dragon Knight. But Tongfu, they go Doom, a greedy quad core here already. Even if you want to play Clockwork or Doom as a support, they offer you minimal impact in the laning stage. So Tongfu, they see Spectre, they see Rubik Visage, heroes, supports that want level 6, a carry that takes a long time to really come online, and they say, you know what, we're going to raise you, we're going to double down and get greedy, and we'll go Doom. And I think getting greedy here is great for Tongfu, because Zenith are not in a position to punish it.
Right. Oftentimes when you're against Spectre, you're kind of in the predicament, well, if we just leave him alone for 20 minutes, we're just going to straight up lose to Radiance or Manta Diffusal, Drums, any of those items. Like, Spectre scales so incredibly well with items because of Dispersion and Desolate and Haunt, and he has an added mobility too. So, like, trading, most of the time that we've seen Spectre, like, just given safe lane free farm, most of the time is traded with Alchemist, Max Grievel's Greed, and he just like outfarms them by a mile. So most teams choose to actually just outfarm them, and I think Tongfu has the perfect lineup for that.
Wow. Zenith are going to go for the Invoker. Now the big question is
huge.
Who is going to play it on this team? Because they have 3 Invoker players. Yamate, legendary Invoker player for Orange, has not played it as much recently. Ice, we all remember he terrorized Complexity at the International 2 on the main stage in their first match on that stage. Sunstrike Invoker, he's raining down Hellfire. I felt like I was watching Command and Conquer. It was like the Ion Cannon, the Orbital Ion Cannon just kept on being used, evaporating poor IX Mike. Or it could be XY. Great solo mid Invoker, not quite as flashy as Ice, but just a solid, more stable option. So we'll see what they go for as far as who plays it, but most likely I'm leaning towards XY Invoker mid. And then I guess the big question is, what kind of an Invoker will it be?
I think it's going to have a lot of trouble versus Doom, though. I mean, who are you going to do
Wait
in
a
this lineup?
second. Tongfu just banned Tinker. Would they really pick Tinker here when they already have Invoker? I guess we saw that offlane Tinker. The
Right.
ancient stacking, the jungling.
I feel like they just want to get to late game with Spectre. That just seems like their game plan here. Quas Wex Invoker would work very well for that. Tinker with March Spam would work well to that. But again, the pressure's not really on Tongfu to kill Spectre a lot early. But I mean, Invoker versus Doom, he's just gonna get doomed every time. Usually, you want like a really tanky carry who isn't gonna die during a Doom, whether it be Dragon Knight, maybe an Alchemist with Chemical Rage on. Either of those work pretty well. But I mean, plenty of good Doom targets.
So what did
certainly.
Tongfu go here? They need a support. Either Clockwork or Doom is going to be that 4 role right now, and I mean it's really like a 3.5 role. They can't properly fulfill a 4 position, so you need a pretty hard support here. Is it a Crystal Maiden? What are you thinking?
I think Crystal Maiden is just going to feed Spectre like massively
That's
later.
true.
I think maybe Jakiro. Oh,
Okay.
Spectre.
Well, they'll pick one of the strongest supports for making your other lane stronger. The Weaver will be very happy. The Dragon Knight's never going to die. In fact, Tongfu has one of the most unkillable lineups you will ever see. There is no food on this team, and there's very little stuns on Zenith. I mean, Weaver, what is he going to die to? A Rubik Lift into Cold Snap. Maybe they can Soul Assumption him when he's low level, but if he gets enough farm, there's just no easy kills on this Tongfu squad.
Yeah, Telekinesis.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, they could have more lockdown though in this last hero, but ooh, Lone Druid. Speaking of
Well,
Lone Druid,
that's the Ice hero. We know what he'll be
Wow.
playing. It looks like an XY solo mid invoker, Yamate Spectre. As for Tongfu, Banana's going to be on the Triet. I'm actually sad to see this because there are only so many plays you can make on Triet. You just use Living Armor at the right time. That's pretty much your job.
Signature's guises.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, we did have.
Cue up the dubstep.
We had that one game where he had like Quelling Blade and just like ate around. That was kind of cool. Freedom?
That was X Freedom, but
Yeah.
we'll see if Banana goes for that type of style of a Triad. But I was hoping to see something a little more explosive as a support for him. Something
I
like
mean, there's a
Rubik.
lot of late game. Like Invoker's pretty good late game, especially once he gets his Aghanim Scepter, Lone Druid, Incredible, Spectre, Dragon Knight, Weaver, and Doom. So I mean, if we see this go late, it could be quite the slugfest.
So if it's XY Invoker, normally when he's playing it, it seems to be a Quas Wex, and I think that's the better choice here for stalling the game. You get Quas
Right.
Wex. You look at Tongfu, they do have the Doom. I think he'll probably be jungling. He can build early Arcanes, but the rest of their team, there's not really any other heroes that generally want to build Arcane Boots, so early EMP could actually be very potent against Tongfu's lineup.
Yeah, generally you want a couple Arcane Boosts. I mean, we saw Doom go Arcane Mech, I believe, and I think most trees would opt for that early too, so it could be pretty good. They also don't have very good setup for Sunstrike. I mean, maybe a Lucky Entangle. Telekinesis is like very short. Usually you want something like any sort of like double stun, whether it be Sand King Leshrac, even a Shadow Demon would work well. All of those are very, very good when it comes to setting up Sunstrikes with an Exhort Invoker, but Quas Wex is probably the safe bet here.
My goodness. Tongfu 4-0 all time against Zenith. Now, bear in mind, Tongfu's roster has changed. Zenith's roster has changed, I believe, since they played at least some of those games. But with that being said, the cores of these teams are intact. Ice, X Freedom, XY have been with Zenith for ages. And then, of course, for Tongfu, you have Hao, Mu, as well as Sang-Shun.
So for
Is it Sang-Shun?
Sansheng?
Sang-Shun.
Okay, so
Sang-Shun.
on Tongfu, we have King J on Clockwork, Sansheng on the Doom, Banana on the Treant Protector, hopefully some flashy plays from him. We have Mu on most likely the solo mid Dragon Knight, and Hao on the Nerubian Weaver.
I'm not sure if you're just taking it easy on me, buddy, because I figured I'd get some big flames from you for that butchery of the Chinese language. But Merlini's feeling kind, at least for now. He's too tired to flame. That's the advantage I have.
After that last game.
Yeah.
Wow.
That game was so exhausting. It's like, that's not the last game of the day? Oh, crap. Well, on the side of Zenith, you've got your Singaporean Malaysian mix, one of the flashiest teams out of Southeast Asia. Ice. He'll be the off-lane Lone Druid. Let's see what he can make happen with this bear. You'll have a safe lane, or rather, excuse me, a solo mid invoker handled by XY. Sensational Slark play yesterday. Can he deliver on the invoker? We're about to find out. It'll be X Freedom taking up the reins of the Visage. Ice on the Rubik. And then last but not least, Yamate, or NWP as he now likes to be called, I'm not sure why, handling the Spectre.
So, I mean, Invoker, I mean, he's an interesting pick here, but I think he's going to be very useless versus BKB. Dragon Knight almost certainly going to get a BKB. Weaver could get one. I mean, Lincoln's is like alright, but they have Grave Chill, they have Soul Assumption, they have Spell Seal, Telekinesis, Fade Bolt, like all these things that pop it. I think that BKB is probably a better choice, simply because it's amazing versus Invoker. So I feel like if Tongfu has a decent early game and can farm their BKBs to mitigate dispersion damage and mitigate the damage potential from Invoker, it could be pretty difficult mid to late game for Zenith. But it all depends on this early laning stage.
As much as Tongfu's draft looks pretty greedy, right? I mean, you have a support tree and Clockwork or Doom in tree, I suppose. We'll see King J, Kage in the crease. But at the end of the day, Zenith does have a Spectre, Invoker, as well as the Lone Druid. That is some pretty fearsome late game of their own. And look at Ice up to his usual tricks with the bear. He's going to be body blocking the big camp, which is actually where Sansheng wants to start. So his jungle game will be a bit delayed. Ice making maximum use of the bear. And Merlini, talking about the Lone Druid pick, it was their final selection in this game. And I think it's really smart because they saw Tongfu went support Doom and Treant. How do these heroes actually zone the bear out of the jungle? They just have no way to harass it. They're both melee. They don't have that much lockdown between them. So he can actually be a complete pain in the rear with the bear.
Right, he's not going to get that early farm though, but neither will the Doombringer. I'm surprised. Oh, see, look at Ice. What a player. So he's actually blocking 3 camps right now with only 1 ward. He's using a bear to block 1.
Micro skills.
He body blocked the 30-second and the 1-minute spawn for the left big camp, and he used a sentry for the other one. So now he's forced to eat the Null Assassin.
And that is, if you have to use your first Devour on a Null Assassin, that has over a minute cooldown. That really hurts.
I mean, he also got really unlucky. Looking at this spawn, it's actually a Mud Golem spawn, so a little bit of good play combined with bad luck for the Doombringers. Rough start for him.
Well, that being said, we'll see if he can bounce back. The good news is they have a Weaver who's 5 and 5.
Oh my goodness, he's going to kill this ward too.
Ice. What a player. Banana will be forced to drop another sentry, but Ice is going to eat a bit of harassment from Hao, who came in with Sakuchi. Already, he's disrupted 2, arguably 3 heroes with the Weaver being forced to come and assist.
He doesn't have another sentry.
Wow,
he already used one on bottom right. Oh my goodness.
Oh no. They're in a lot of trouble now, and you look at this, they also are getting free farm on the safe lane Spectre. Yamate already 9 and 2, and the Invoker mid is the one who's really struggling. Of course, Invoker got a big base damage nerf, I believe it was 2 patches ago. He'll go for the early boots here. I imagine straight into phase boots. I've seen XY often opt for an early Null Talisman in the past, but it seems like boots first and then probably straight into phase from here.
Yeah, I must say Zenith is doing very, very well in this early game. Spectre on top of the CS charts with 11 against this solo Clockwork bottom, not even level 2 yet, and Doom's jungling skills has been hindered greatly, although finally he gets a level 6 creep. He has that Hellbear Smasher with the clap, but again, he is much further behind than Dooms are usually at this point in the game.
And he's not getting the ideal creeps. You do not want the Hellbear Smasher. The clap's okay in this situation for clearing the camp, but you really want the Satyr that gives you the HP regen or Wildkin, so you can just stack the big camp and then farm it with Tornado. But
or Troll with the
or the skeletons, which are really good just for jungling straight off the bat. Ice taking a lot of damage. Just the Living Armor Weaver combo. So friggin' obnoxious. The Swarm is on him. He tries to run his way out. He looks to be in a world of pain. He's going to drop first blood to Hao. A much-needed kill. Ice. Get the hell out of our jungle, Hao says.
He is peeing on the Weaver. He's like, where is my team at? I'm getting dove at my T2 3 minutes in. But that is just the power of Living Armor. You don't have to give 2 shits about any tower. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, without Living Armor there, Weaver would have died trying to make that play. Hao took a couple of tower shots to the face, but in the end, does find a much-needed kill. And it's not what it does for the Weaver. For me, it's really what it does for the Doom and the Treant, who can now actually farm the jungle, and not get constantly picked off.
So Spectre not going a super greedy build. He's going phase boost, not rushing like a super fast Radiance like we have seen some of them do. He also went for a 2-2 build. I saw Havos go like a 4-4-1 build. I would highly advocate going 1 level dispersion. That skill is just incredibly good for the amount of skill points that you invest in it. Just 1 point gives you 10% reflection. It's akin to Anti-Mage's Spell Shield. 1 point just gives you incredible returns on it.
21 and 9 on a safe lane Spectre. We're 4 minutes in. It's only 5 CS per minute, which isn't quite as ridiculous as it could be. But end of the day, Yamate is being contested by a Clockwork who's using cogs to draw the lane back. I gotta say, King J is doing a great job here. He's an off-lane clock against the tri-lane with pretty decent lockdown, and he's managed to hit level 3. He is taking a lot of damage, however, from Yamate, but whenever there's Living Armor, you always have to be careful about committing to those engagements. He won't in the end. He'll back off. overall, Merlini, Spectre getting a lot of farm. Tongfu support shut down a little bit, but they have a Dragon Knight dominating, really dominating the middle lane, up by 7 CS and 3 denies. And they got first blood. Seems pretty even to me this early on.
Yeah, one really big problem this game. I mean, Ice did a really good job in the first like 1 minute where he blocked 3 spawns until the 1 minute spawn. But looking at his CS, he has 3 creep kills, and his bear is constantly doing other things besides getting creeps. He is like trying to shadow the Doombringer. He's trying to block creep spawns and just being maybe a little bit too cutesy with it. You need farm on Lone Druid, no doubt about it.
I feel really bad for XY this game. What is he supposed to do? Dragon Knight constantly getting living armor. You can't really Atlas hit the DK very easily until you get phase boots, because you have awful damage as a Quaswex Invoker. He is starting to take some points in the MP now. 3 into Quas. Phase boots on the way. The lane gets a bit easier in fact, a lot easier for him from here, but still Mu off to a powerful start. Weaver off to a powerful start, being handled by Hao. And well, the question is, what will Tongfu do in the mid game? They're looking for the levels on these supports, as well as the offlane clock, and those are a bit slow to come by. Doom only level 3 in the jungle, 5.5 minutes in. Normally you could be 4 or 5 by now, and the offlane clock doing pretty well. But then Treant, only 2 for Banana. He's really struggling, and Ice is not making his life easy.
I think he's going to be a liability. He's forced to TP out right now. I mean, he's losing so much time farming, and Weaver is just having the time of his life up top. Already farming with treads, and he's looking pretty well, as is his Spectre. Both of the carries hitting level 6 at this point in the game.
Yeah, early access into Haunt for Yamate, but he's really low. He actually opts to go for a Rain of Health. Are we going to see that old school Vanguard first build, or is it just a casual Rain of Health? We'll wait to find out, but this is something I actually have not seen in a while. Normally, if you want the HP regen in lane, you just go for Tranquil Boots, but he decides to go Rain of Health here.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be a Vanguard. I'm not a fan of the Vanguard build. If you want HP, I think Tranquil is a great option. Drums is a great option. Even just having your supports buy you a flask or Tango is a good option. I don't think that. I mean, Spectre is just really difficult to farm with at the early stage of the game, and you really have to just make the best out of your gold early. I don't think that's the best choice, but we will see how it pans out.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Stout Shield or a Poor Man Shield. I mean,
or Quelling Blade.
Or Quelling Blade. I'm not really sold on Yamate's items, but he is your lead farmer. He's 43 and 20. He's CSing like a champ. It's just he could be at full HP, and that might free Zenith up to go for some
he
kills.
won't be able to haunt in and get a kill.
Yeah, he can haunt, but he's not joining it. Top lane, they're diving Ice. They've used the living armor. Weaver combo to great effect. He's not level 5, but in comes the backup. It's X Freedom. They do find the kill, and now Hao runs away, squirms his way towards the middle lane. Double teleport from the supports. They're going on to Shang, but he's got the Doom Scorched Earth up, and he'll be able to escape. So they TP2. They don't kill anyone, and the Lone Druid falls. Fantastic little trade for Tongfu. Now Clockwork's going to get more out of bottom. Mu can pressure mid, and their top lane, Treant, continues to pull.
I mean, they're just putting so much pressure on Isis Lone Druid. I think this is just laning phase is going terribly for Zenith at this point.
He started off ultra cheeky, but then